We're expecting yet another vote for House Speaker at any moment. The quorum call is currently underway, and it follows a wild, and that is being generous, 24 hours full of drama. Around this time yesterday, House Republicans elected House Majority Whip Tom Emmer as the party's third candidate. Emmer won the secret ballot election by a small margin, but get this, just 4 hours later. 4 hours. A lot can happen in 4 hours, I guess. He dropped out. That stunning reversal left Republicans back at square one. Some within the party discussed a potential comeback for former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, with House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan taking on an assistant speaker role. But after one last secret ballot vote last night around 10 p.m., House Republicans have chosen Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson as their newest nominee. Johnson's a member of the House Judiciary Committee, and he currently serves as the vice chair of the House Republican Conference. He's a strong conservative and evangelical. He's got a great reputation. But Ari, let me throw out some numbers, just broadening where we are at this moment. It's been 22 days since McCarthy was ousted. There have been 14 candidates, 4 nominees, 3 floor votes, all which failed. I would rather be sitting here with a different set of numbers. 1 censure vote for Rashida Tlaib, 2 foreign aid packages, broken up Ukraine, broken up Israel, 12 appropriations bills. I wish those were the numbers I was sharing now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm coming to the conclusion that if you like part-time work, if you like a temporary job, become Speaker of the House. That's the place to go to get replaced in 6 months or 9 months, and you get the full year salary. It's an embarrassment. And I just don't know if House Republicans have recognized how much damage they've done to themselves and how much damage they've done to whether or not they should be entrusted to be in the majority. I hate to put it that way, but I've come to that conclusion. Because, Kayla, as you pointed out, what were they put there to do? They were put there to pass laws to cut spending. The strain on the Republican base over there, so many Republicans who just want to burn it down, shut it down, that it doesn't matter to them if we don't have a speaker, if the government collapses, or if the government if the government is shut down. They don't care. Yeah. Well, we should care. If you're running for office, you should care, and you need to have unity. Without unity, they're just a faction.
Yeah. Without unity, you get drama, which is what we've had for 3 weeks, Emily. Mike Johnson last night, he gets 128 votes, so shy of 217, but it's looking very promising. One of the good things for him is he hasn't really been one who's been frontward about wanting a leadership position. He doesn't have a lot of enemies. He has good relationships with the right and with centrists, and he's said to be as policy-driven and as wonky as Paul Ryan, and I say that in an affable way, someone who really cares about the issues.
That would be a refreshing change from everything being demonstrated thus far, which is that the House is comprised of individual royalty, and that the consensus does not matter, service does not matter, constituents do not matter. All that matters is immature, self-serving, myopic views. Just to underscore that the reason that McCarthy was ousted was, quote, because of chaos, and to dispel that, what have we received every single moment since? I'm curious, Ari, if you can weigh in quickly to the argument that, or the reports that Emmer was sort of, I don't know, jettisoned as well because of pressure of President Trump and the far-right faction. If that is true, what does that mean, not only for Johnson, but for Congress moving forward?
Well, I don't know about the Trump issue here because he endorsed Jim Jordan and Jim Jordan didn't get it. I think he was jettisoned because he couldn't get to 217. He was jettisoned by math. I don't think he was jettisoned by Trump.
Oh, that's interesting. Let me get this in here then. So this is from the former president on Truth Social. He says he torpedoed him, Emmer.
Well, of course
he says out on Truth Social, he put this out, totally out of touch with Republican voters and a globalist rhino. That's what he was saying about Congressman Tom Emmer of Minnesota. So, I mean, he certainly says that he took him down. What you're saying is it was the numbers as well.
Yeah, I don't think President Trump had to say it. He was going to go down because he didn't have the votes.
Yeah, one of the interesting things, Harris, is the challenge. So if Johnson gets this, he has put out a plan of what he wants to do, and it includes, get this, a continuing resolution. Oh. That is the same as what Kevin McCarthy did. That is the same as what got Kevin McCarthy ousted. So he's going to have to put forward a CR that got Kevin McCarthy ousted, because we're 23 days from the government shutting down. He's going to have to deal with this $106 billion aid package. Republicans want it broken up. He has a lot he's got to deal with, the same things that made Kevin McCarthy unpopular.
I mean, you mentioned Paul Ryan before. I would imagine that was the same thing that he would have done too. This has gone down the road so far now that they're up against a new deadline for government shutdown. So I don't think who you put in there, nobody's going to let the government shut down right before Christmas. I don't see that happening. But I will say this. Whoever you are, what Ari said is true. It's temporary, because unless they take away that rule that Matt Gaetz got into the lingo in the House of one person can raise the idea of kicking somebody out, then the next man, the next woman standing. And speaking of which, why are there no women running for this?
Yeah.
Like, no one can come up with a single woman?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, you had other people nominating other people. I wonder what's going on behind the scenes there, because if Nancy Pelosi comes back for a third term, and when, because we know she's running at 83, won't she be thirsty for a third term as Speaker?
Yeah, good question. You know, Brooke, at the same time, you think since October 7th, Republicans could have illustrated their alternate foreign policy view. Instead, you've had Biden leading on this, saying, I support Israel, while also in some ways playing both sides, giving aid to Gaza, which we know goes to Hamas. You could have had Republicans passing bills. Yes, they wouldn't have gotten through the Senate, but it would have given Americans a choice. Here's how Republicans lead on Israel. Here's how Biden leads. Look at the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for the average American who's not a policy wonk, they are being sent the signal that there's complete dysfunction. And this is actually during a time of war. Because make no mistake, America is at war. We are being attacked abroad. We have infiltration here in our country. Our allies are being attacked. And what we have to send is a signal of unity. And then what's particularly concerning to me is the politicization of October the 7th, which now has been turned, into like anti-Semitism as a political football, who can stand up for Israel more or who's not standing up for Israel enough. And we have to be very careful about that. And I just want to make one more point. In this chaos, people like Rashida Tlaib, and I'm glad you mentioned the censure, are using it to spread blood libels, to speak at pro-Hamas rallies and incite violence.
Yes, and Congressman Moskowitz, a Democrat, told us yesterday, yes, it's something that should be considered, but we can't consider it without a House Speaker. So let's hope we have Speaker-elect Mike Johnson in the next hour or so, or the chaos will continue.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.